I almost never watch television, and I'm usually glad that I don't, but now I'm glad that sometimes I'm forced by my daughter to watch Family Guy. Because you may possibly have seen the moment when the chubby father comes down in the morning and looks at his cereal in the bowl, accepting one of your more sophisticated challenges, sir. And he says, "Look at this," it says, "woo, woo, 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 woo." And his daughter says, "Those are Cheerios, Dad." But I accept the ontological challenge. And I accept it in this way. The answer to the question with which we confront ourselves tonight, or are confronted if you prefer, does God exist, is to me, yes, it does. It must do. It must do because it is so real to those who do believe in it. There are people of whom it may be said that for them, God does exist. I've become perfectly persuaded of this by now. There is no form of persuasion that would make me assent to this proposition. Some of us are born, we're born too, in answer to Blaise Pascal's own problem, the one that made him write his Pensées and address them to those who are so made that they cannot believe. Those of us to whom almost everything that Dr. Troik just said would be the mere equivalent of white noise. I suppose it's my job this evening to explain ontologically how that is the case. Perhaps I'll do it by force of example. Recently, very recently, in fact, as little ago in time as last year, the Vatican announced that limbo, the destination of the unbaptized child soul, no longer exists. There is no such place. St. Augustine was in error, it appears, in sending so many children, at least the souls of so many unbaptized children, to this destination for so long. Among the comments that I heard about this, among the mildest, actually, was that of a woman raised in the Catholic faith, whose child had died before baptism could take place, who had for many years believed that that's where her unbaptized child had gone. And she said, "They can't tell me that place doesn't exist. It's been as real to me as anything possibly could be for so long. They've no right to tell me now that this no longer exists." Ontologically, limbo exists for those who believe in it, just as God does. I'm not here to deny that. It's only a few decades now since the rival church, Church of Rome, the Church of England, announced that really no one actually goes to hell. It could be that after you die you're forbidden God's grace, but there's no real place of eternal, unending, infinite torture and torment with which those who claimed the grace of God and the redemption of Jesus made a living for so many years. And how do they make their living? By lying to children. Think of it. Hundreds and hundreds of years of people proudly earning their keep by lying to children and terrifying them, and saying that because they could do that, they were morally superior to us. Reason, common sense, decency, ordinary decency rebels against this kind of mind-forged manacle, however charmingly or humorously it's expressed. But hell exists in the minds of several people I've spoken to just today on this campus in the intervals of other conversations. For them it's real, and I don't say that it's not. But what I want to show is that it can, if it does exist, nonetheless be abolished, like many other mind-forged manacles and man-made tyrannies that confront us. And in fact, that this belief in a supreme and unalterable tyranny is the oldest enemy of our species, the oldest enemy of our intellectual freedom and our moral autonomy, and must be met, and must be challenged, and must be overthrown. I want to argue for nothing less than that.
If there is a way to pay for those sins, and all you have to do is utter the word yes to salvation, what obstinacy forces you to say, "I won't do it, I will risk all of damnation with my full intelligence and free will"?
I don't think he understands how wicked he sounds to so many people in this hall tonight. When he says, "Look, you've made a perfectly fair offer. We can torture you to death if we want, for the crime only of being born. But all you have to do is throw yourself on our mercy, and it'll be okay. Why don't you just do it?" I can hardly bear to look at you.
You're implying
that you could say something so evil, so stupid, so nasty, and so intolerant. Even C.S. Lewis admits that everything that Jesus said is complete nonsense if it isn't uttered by somebody who believes the world is about to come to an end. Only in that sense does it make sense to say, take no thought for the morrow. Don't care about possessions. Don't care about progress or literacy or improvement or thrift or any of the things that make culture possible. There's no point. It'll all be over real soon. Well, this is why culture and religion are eventually incompatible. And so those of us who want transcendence of the kind Zachary mentions, or something awe-inspiring beyond ourselves, should look through the Hubble telescope and see how wonderful that is. Or read a page of Stephen Hawking and see what awe-inspiring things there are in the cosmos. And then see if you can turn away from that and be impressed by the burning bush. It's as if those who wish it to be true, which I do not, you can be an atheist and wish that there was a God. Many atheists I know do wish it was true. Why do I not? Because I don't want to live in a celestial North Korea. Martin Luther did say, it was one of his proudest statements, I am a man of one book. Loyola says we sacrifice the intellect to God. Again, why am I supposed to respect these appalling sayings? But, I mean, every year on the Feast of Eid, which is roughly the same, the Muslim version, well, it's exactly the same story, but it's celebrated with even more fanaticism. People kill a sheep in praise of Abraham's willingness to conduct a human sacrifice on his son. They think that's the most wonderful moral story they can think of. Now, here's where I part company. I don't think that someone's willingness to slaughter his son because he's hearing voices in his head is a great example of moral suasion. And maybe there's something I'm missing here. But I have a terrible feeling that those who do think that that surrender, that willingness to commit murder, to commit infanticide under a psychopathic delusion is a sign of virtue. And if that was not the case, I would not have had to write a book showing that religion is a root of evil, which it is, as I've just demonstrated. Thank you. As I've said, I think that all religions are wrong in the same way, in that they privilege faith over reason, but they're not all equally bad in the same way all the time. I mean, if I'd been writing in the 1930s, I would certainly have said that the Roman Catholic Church was the most dangerous religion in the world because of its open alliance with fascism and anti-Semitism, which the damage from that our culture has never recovered from and never will. But at the moment, it's very clear to me that the most toxic form that religion takes is the Islamic form. The horrible idea of wanting to end up with Sharia, with a religion-governed state, a state of religious law, and that the best means of getting there is jihad, holy war, and that Muslims have a special right to feel aggrieved enough to demand this, I think is an absolute obscene wickedness, and I think their religion is nonsense. And in its entirety. The idea of God speaks to some illiterate merchant warlord in Arabia, and he's able to write this down perfectly, and it contains the answers to all human. Don't waste my time. It's bullshit.
But you're saying the same about it.
Also, that God speaks. The Archangel Gabriel speaks only Arabic, it seems.
I just want to say, in retrospect, you were very civil, actually. I don't know what I was thinking.
Is this the same characterization of all religions? Well, actually, no, because remember, Islam makes one special claim for itself. All religions claim to be revealed truth. They all are founded by divine revelation. But Islam rather dangerously says, ours is the last and final one. There can't be any more after this. This is God's last word. Now, that's straight away a temptation to violence and intolerance, and if you note, it's a temptation they seem quite willing to fall for. Thus, when the local prince of the church, who I was sorry to miss on Tony's show, Cardinal Archbishop George Pell, takes leave to tell me, and is going to tell you under this roof, that in his own words, without God we are nothing. My reply is, Your Eminence, please don't talk to me in that tone of voice. I'm not a slave, and I'm on the side of anyone who is in their emancipation. And it's the mind-forged manacles that are often the hardest to break. I'm sorry to tell the Cardinal Archbishop, and I wish I could say it to his face, I have to some of his colleagues, as you might say, that he's wrong twice. He's first wrong in his concept of a deity, in other words, as someone without whom we would be nothing. And he's wrong, second, to declare that we are worthless without agreeing with his concept of that concept. And I demand to know how he knows. His Eminence is claiming to know more than a primate can possibly know, and he's showing that he knows much less than most primates.